Welcome to Building Fortunes Radio. Make sure you check us out at buildingfortunesradio.com. Along with our marketing partners, we're here to help our PM Marketing Network Leads customers build their businesses and make the world a better place. At Building Fortunes, we know how much your business means to you and the people important to you. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world. Now on to our show with your host, Peter Mingils.
Hello, everyone. Peter Mingils here. You're listening to Building Fortunes Radio on www.buildingfortunesradio.com. My name, again, is Peter Mingils. If you want to check us out, go to check out Peter, P-E-T-E-R, Mingils, M-I-N-G-I-L-S, and you can probably Google me like you can Google everybody else on the planet, and you'll find mostly interesting things, I hope, and you'll find that we actually, we own a company, we have a lot of products. I've been associated with the industry for a long time, so although I am not fully qualified as like a PhD or a license to be able to speak about this as an expert level, what we're going to talk about next, I think I have enough road under my wheels, if I could use that as an example, enough testimonials, enough experiences with different people, enough kind of being associated with this industry that I could at least hold my own relative to the conversation we're going to have today on Building Fortunes Radio. See, part of the Building Fortunes platform that we put together was that you could be able to hear from other people's experiences about the great things associated with being involved in home-based businesses. So if you listen to some of the other radio shows on buildingfortunesradio.com, you'll be able to hear great people talk about their experiences. And then also, many times we bring on I'm going to say the word critics, although critics sometimes may have a negative approach to it or maybe a negative stigma to it. The critics associated with the things that we do on Building Fortunes Radio, I think, are constructive critics. See, I think that as you're traveling down the highway from one coast to the other in your life, I'm mixing up metaphors here like crazy, but if you are going from the ocean on the left to the ocean on the right and you're going to be traveling over the land, I think you would want to know where the potholes are. I think you'd want to know where the weather is going to come up. And anybody thinking that they're going to have straight lines, clear sailing, all green lights, no challenges, I think would be delusional or just a little bit like not really thinking it through. So whatever you're doing, I think, is going to have obstacles. Haven't found the perfect business yet. So in that regard, I host Building Fortunes Radio so we can talk about those things in a constructive way. Well, on Building Fortunes Radio, of course, making extra money is important, but like some people say, it's not always what you make, it's what you keep. So you can make a lot and spend a lot. And part of the challenge, especially around this time of year, is most people, and by the way, this is January of 2016, although this content is going to be kind of timeless, but most people at this time of year have either gotten or are getting their W-2s and or their 1099s, and then they have to reconcile with our fine government, the Internal Revenue Service, what their financial dispositions are. Like, so how are you doing? Where are you at? This is how much we think you made. This is how much other people claimed you made. And this is your tax liability is what they're kind of asking. And whether it's on a voluntary or involuntary basis, I'll leave that for everybody else to kind of figure out. But our fine government expects us to submit some kind of reconciliation, like some kind of a tax return. And therefore, now all of a sudden you have to become somewhat educated. Now, I know a lot of people with simple tax returns, like kids that might be on the phone, working at odd jobs or fast food places, making a few $100 or a few $1,000. Many times you can go use some of the free tax software, which is really kind of cool and convenient. You're a kid, you're a teenager, you're somebody that maybe doesn't make a lot of money and you don't have a very complicated return. You don't own a home. You don't pay your own insurance. Maybe your parents are still paying for your cars and your phones. You have just the deductions that they took out, if you will, when you were working at that fast food joint or that fast food place or that restaurant or whatever it might be. And more than less likely when you're a kid, the government structure for your education and all that other sort of stuff and the tax bills and everything that you are going to be dealing with are going to be where you get most of your money that you put in back as a form of a refund. So they gave you your money back that they withheld a little bit, and that's another story. But for a lot of the people listening in, you might make significant income, or you have multiple streams of income coming in, and therefore you really do have to deal with taxes. Now, I believe our fine government, now remember, I'm not a tax preparer, I'm not a tax attorney, I've done enough taxes on my own, worked with enough of them on my own to be able to say I can sling a couple of sentences together at least, probably more so than the average guy. Our fine government has said, businesses get tax advantages. It's almost like there's two lines. There's like regular people, and then there's business people and business owners. And the second line, the business people and the business owners, they have certain advantages and tax deductions that sometimes regular people don't. And those were done by our fine government to help businesses grow. So most businesses, right, they start off as little teeny-weeny small businesses. Even Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, all those people started off many times in garages. Facebook was started off right in a dorm room from a woman scorned and a programmer. So all of those little big businesses started off as little businesses. So if you want to know what a big business looks like when it's starting, it looks like a small business. So the government gives small businesses as well as big businesses opportunities to be able to have some legitimate tax deductions. And the cool thing about it is most people, well, this is not the cool thing about it. Most people don't know that much about these things because they don't usually teach this in most courses in school. I could tell you for me personally, and it doesn't matter, but for me personally, when I went to high school, we never had a tax course. Now, I went to high school a long time ago, but at least there was like running water and, there's toilets and all that sort of stuff. So I'm 53 now, but when I was going to high school and even into college, I never took a tax course as well. So I graduated from a 4-year college degree in biology, chemistry, French. I took a little bit of music and philosophy, but you know what? I never took a tax course. And you would wonder, you would think something like that would be mandatory would be somewhat mandatory, and I'm still a little bit perplexed on why not. So I don't want to sound too naive, but I'm still a little bit perplexed on why not. So I was out there to kind of fend on my own, if you will. I could have asked parents and all that sort of stuff, but I was in direct sales when I first graduated, so I had a little bit of a different situation. So I had legitimate tax deductions. I was using my car for work. I was buying my own lunches. I was buying gifts for people that I worked with. I was buying my own pencils. I had car repairs that were a little bit higher than probably most people. When I started to manage some other people, I would buy their lunches. I'd buy them gifts. I'd sometimes buy their pencils. And I was educated that as a business person, I had those legitimate tax deductions, but I had to make sure I filed, and I had to file on time and use the right paperwork and all that sort of stuff. So it just wasn't the shoebox thing, although sometimes it starts off in shoeboxes that you get a chance to compile a little bit later on. But I had to learn about the tax advantages for survival purposes. Otherwise, I would have paid far more than I was supposed to. So our fine government gives people the opportunity to pay their fair share, and you're supposed to pay what you're supposed to pay. If you want to pay more, I guess you can, but most people wind up overpaying on taxes, number one, or they don't take any tax deductions at all, or they pay maybe too much for a tax preparer. So that's one of the reasons why we're hosting this specific radio show on taxes. Now, I don't have someone on the radio show with me whose name is Bob Adams. Bob Adams and I became friends several years ago, and it almost started off with, "Hey, Peter," he said to me, "I built a simple Excel-looking spreadsheet called What Counts that I'm thinking about like trying to figure out how to sell or market or whatever to the population of people involved in home-based businesses, because many or most of those don't know about home-based business. They get a little bit overwhelmed or confused. Or worse yet, when you go to the traditional tax preparers, so I won't mention their names, but when you go to a traditional tax preparer, many times you're paid by the form. So if you have a lot of deductions and you have a lot of different kinds of things, you wind up paying a lot of money because they have to fill out another form. Even though you might have all the records there, you're paid by the form. It kind of gets kind of expensive. So he put together something called What Counts for people to help formulate and compile and understand taxes better. So if you go to the website networkleads.com/taxes, networkleads.com/taxes, you're going to be able to check out what Bob put together, because we put it as a clickable link. There's a light version or a full version. Go get the full version. And it's free. And the cool thing about it being free is you could use it every year because even though the dollar amounts might change, the structure, kind of like the rules relative to these types of tax deductions, more or less stay the same as well. So we're going to take a little commercial break in a second, but I want to make sure that you know that if you go to www.networkleads.com, you'll be able to, networkleads.com/taxes, you'll be able to see that WhatCount software, download it for free, and then also hear a couple of audios. I'm going to talk about that in a second, right after we come back from our commercial break. So we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to Building Fortunes Radio. If you sell a product or service, then you should check out PM Marketing's NetworkLeads.com. Just visit www.networkleads.com. For over 18 years, PM Marketing has helped distributors build their home-based businesses through lead generation, website development, automated email delivery systems, and sales training. If you're looking for a way to increase your skills and increase the number of people that see your product or opportunity, NetworkLeads.com can help. To learn more, visit www.networkleads.com. Ask about their lead management system, capture pages, personalized websites, MLM training, humongous blogs, the humongous classified ad network, Building Fortunes Radio, or their webinar schedule. NetworkLeads.com can be your one-stop shop for everything you need. And now, back to our show.
Hello, everyone. Again, Peter Mingils here. We are on Building Fortunes Radio on www.buildingfortunesradio.com. If you are in a home-based business, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're living any kind of a life, you probably want to check out some of the radio shows that we do on a regular basis. Our platform is ever growing. We have lots of really cool hosts. They are really excellent people. Like kids, I love them all, and they are really great at what they do. And one of the radio shows we're talking about today is on building a business. It's not so much money, or it is, of course, how much money you make, but it's also how much money you keep. That kind of counts, and that's why Bob Adams, a friend of ours, put together a tax software that he eventually wound up giving to us to give to you, if you want it, for free. You go to networkleads.com/taxes, and you'll be able to get that. Now, Bob and I have done several archived audios whose links are on that website, networkleads.com/taxes. And if you are sharp, and I'm sure you are if you're listening to this, you can listen to those probably several times and then also share them with people that you think might be interested in home-based businesses as well. Or if you have somebody in your downline, let me share with you what you can definitely do is make sure that they understand the tax benefits of being associated with a home-based business. And let me share with you some of the reasons why. And I'm going to say it wrong first, and I'm going to clean it up. One of my mentors one time, when he found out about the tax advantages of being involved in a home-based business, he said, Peter, it works a little bit like this. So remember, I'm going to say it wrong first before I say it right. He said, it's almost like through the legitimate deductions that the government gives you an opportunity to do, it's almost like they pay for you to be involved in a home-based business first. Like they pay your way until, of course, you become so profitable, you have to pay taxes on the profits. So now let me clean it up. So I said it wrong first, but let me kind of clean up what I mean. Well, if you're a W-2 earner and the government is taking out whatever deductions that they normally would take out, Social Security, all the other sort of things, the state, the local, the federal taxes, whatever it might be, where it might be whatever it is, you can help reduce that taxable amount by being involved in a home-based business. Now, the government doesn't necessarily have a requirement to say you have to spend or invest X amount of money. It could be free if you're involved in a home-based business. Some businesses start for free. When you push that submit button, if it was $75, that would qualify. If it's $175, that would qualify. If $5 million, that would qualify as well. So the dollar amount doesn't really matter. What really matters is that you treat it like a business, kind of separate your business checking accounts and use a separate debit card, and if you can, use a different phone and all that sort of stuff. Keep it separate. Document things, so that's what the what counts tax software kind of counts. File on a regular basis. Talk to a real tax preparer, of course. I'm not, so use this as advice, use this as opinion. Don't use this as expert guidance. So make sure you talk to an expert guidance. If many people use TurboTax, which is pretty good for being able to handle most relatively simple returns, even if you're in a home-based business with a little bit of a complicated home-based business. So you could do any or all of that stuff as well. But back to this, if you are joining a home-based business and buying some products and giving some samples away and traveling wherever you go and coordinate your life a little bit different, you can even use business use of the home. Like a portion of your home could then be reduced as well. So maybe a portion of your mortgage, a portion of your electricity bill, a portion of your cleaning bill, a portion of your this bill, a portion of that bill. When you bought that new computer, maybe you'll use the old one for regular stuff, or maybe you use the new one for your home-based business. Maybe if you needed higher-speed internet, for your home-based business, you can be able to do that sort of thing. So there's so many deductions that what will happen is, especially if you're a W-2 earner, like you're an employee, then you'll start to reduce your taxable amount based on these legitimate deductions, and then almost everybody can probably figure out where they might be able to save anywhere from, the experts tell me, $2,000 to $5,000 a year, at least. So if you really start to think it through, if you said, wait a minute, I could save anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 a year. Now, this is all relative, of course, so your example is going to be different. But if I could do that, you'd say, well, that would pay for my auto ship, wouldn't it? I pay $150 a month for my jungle juice, or I pay, $100 a month for my whatever, and then I have an advertising budget of, well, of course, your advertising budget would probably be 100% legitimate and deductible. And I could I could really do that. Or maybe I could then I could buy some more stuff for some people that I like and I love, and I can actually use it as stuff. And there's gas mileage, and there's business use of the home, like I mentioned before, and there's subscriptions, and there's dues, and there's everything that you can probably help itemize, and you can use tax software to be able to get that done. And then if you use Bob's tax software, what counts, it makes it so much easier to compile those results. So now I'm going to come back and say what I said a little bit earlier, wrong, but we'll just kind of clean it up a little bit more now. He was right, my mentor. It's kind of like the government almost like helps subsidize your ability to get that home-based business started, so eventually you can build it, and then you become more profitable, and then you're going to pay taxes on the profit. So this is something that I don't know why, and I do know why, because most people just aren't educated in that regard. That doesn't mean they're not stupid. They're just not educated because maybe they grew up in homes where people were employees. So if you grew up in a home and employee, then you just filed your taxes, and they gave you some back, usually because you overpaid during the course of the year. And you get a bonus, they think. Like some people say, I got a refund. Like, no, they just gave you your money back. They gave you your money back. Now, there's some people, I'm sure, that sometimes the government, because of children and other issues, they get money back no matter what, even if they don't pay into it. I didn't really understand that until I heard some of those examples, like, wow, that's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. You get a refund even though you didn't pay a lot of money in, but that's another whole story. But the cool thing is that for those people that are in home-based businesses, you can really and legitimately take advantage of tax deductions. So what counts? Go to networkleads.com/taxes. Now let me use some examples of some things that sometimes people don't maybe think about. One of them is going to be, what are your deductions if you're just a regular employee? So if you're a regular employee, you get a W-2. What are your deductions? Well, the biggest one for most people is going to be the interest on their mortgage. So you own a home, you can deduct a portion of the interest you pay on your mortgage. What's another one? If you're married and joint, right, you file with your wife, and then you have kids. So you're married, filing joint with kids. You get some deductions because of the kids, especially when they're of school age. What's another one? Oh, well, of course, you defer a little bit of your taxes when you do your 401k plan. And I always recommend people do that because sometimes there's some matching bonuses. So that's like free money from your company. Okay, and then what else? It's kind of a nasty one. When I say nasty, like you don't want this one, but you got it if you need it. And that's the idea of medical bills. So if medical bills wind up being a certain portion of your income, then you can deduct that. But who wants to be sick? So, that's one of the ones you could use, but you wish you didn't have to. So really, that's the biggest ones I would think that most people have. When they do this sort of thing. I'm going to tell somebody I'm on a radio show. Hold on. I never answer my phone, but hold on a second. I'm going to hang up on you only because I'm on a live radio show, and I'll catch you later. Call me in 15 minutes. Bye. to shut my fault. I forgot to shut my ringer off so you guys don't hear it, because this one person, I playfully say, and I won't mention his name now, I say, call me like a stalker. So he sometimes does. So that's why I had to pick up the phone and interrupt my own radio show because I forgot to shut off my radio show thing. So anyway, so back to this. So, what deductions do you have if you're a W-2 earner? Maybe if you're married and you have kids, you own a home, you're using your 401k plan and stuff like that for whatever other business deductions. You're sick, which really kind of stinks. But that's just about it. So that's why when you're in a home-based business, your world changed. When you push that submit button and you make that first entry and you buy that product and you're legitimately documenting stuff and effectively trying to build that business, even if you're running it at a loss, all of that stuff comes out of that taxable income that you have from the government, which means that you're going to get more of the money back, or you're going to be able to use that for doing a whole bunch of other cool stuff as well. So therefore, I kind of playfully say, if you are a W-2 earner and you're the type of person that's more entrepreneurial spirited, and you're not trying to pursue a profitable home-based business, you're probably missing out. Like, you don't, and I say this playfully, right, so no one's going to take this offensively, like you don't get it. Like, you have to. And if you're building a downline and you have a group of people, then you got to make sure that your people know these things too, because the money that they're saving or the money they can reinvest into their business can help their business and also help them realize that when that Jungle Juice auto shipment or that nutritional supplement or whatever it might be that is happening, the government is actually helping to subsidize it. And I'm using all the wrong words there, but kind of get the essence of that through the legitimate tax deductions that you have. Now, I'm going to use this as an example. I do a lot of work from my own home. So for me, it's 11% of my home space is my office space. So business use of the home is about 11%. And if I needed extra storage, which I don't, I could use maybe like the garage. If I was carrying inventory, I could use the garage. There was a time where we did have extra storage space because we had books and other stuff, and now most of the stuff that we do is virtual, so I don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. So I lost a little bit of business use of the home, but it's about 11%. And then what else? Well, if I go see my brother, if I wanted to go drive and visit my brother, now, by the way, my mom lives with my brother, so if I drive to New York, which I probably would, I could either fly or drive, but if I'm going to make it like a family trip and make it a little bit like an adventure, but if I drove, I would obviously go see my brother and we talk about business. I could write off that business mileage. Now, I don't know if you know how much the business mileage is. I'm not exactly sure this year, but I know it's always more than 50%. I think, because I haven't done my taxes yet this year. I think it's like 57 cents, but let's just say it's over 50. So if it's 1,100 miles, and I could claim 1,100 miles at 50 cents a mile plus, then you'd say, wow, Peter, that would certainly pay for the gas. You can even deduct the gas, too, and the wear and tear on your car, of course. All of this stuff is totally tax deductible. You'd say, wow, so you could still see your mom, but you can talk business with your brother, right? Yep. And then when you listen to Bob on some of the other recordings that we did, he'll talk about travel and entertainment. He'll talk about dry cleaning. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do legitimately to be able to claim those deductions. So for anybody that's listening in, if you're a W-2 earner and you are not taking advantage of the legitimate deductions available for you as running a home-based business, you're kind of missing out. Last one. What about your, and I have to use the word I don't like to use, prospects, your leads. Your future customers is really a nicer sounding thing. These are your potential future distributors. These are your potential future customers. What about them? Do you really think they know a lot about these things? The answer is probably not. So therefore, they're just looking at you as an expense if you're asking them to get involved in something. And in a troubled society or in a troubled economy where people are a little bit afraid of spending that extra money, they might be a little bit cautious, and it might be somewhat comforting for them to hear about the legitimate tax deductions that they could take advantage of when they're involved in your own home-based business. So make sure you use all your sales skills that we teach on other things to apply them, but learn the legitimate tax deductions associated with being involved in a home-based business for your advantage as well. And then what you'll probably find is you'll realize that when I say you're nuts, if you're not taking advantage of them, of course, unless you just like to overpay on your taxes, you're nuts if you don't take advantage of the legitimate things to effectively build a business. Now, what's the upside? Remember I said I kind of work from home? Well, because of the things that we do, building a business, we generate profits that pay for people. I have a small army of people that are working, and I'm helping to pay their wages, and some of them are 1099 people. Actually, most of the people I work with are 1099, so they work from their home. I don't take their taxes out, and we help generate some extra income for them. What about the vendors that I have? I need extra bandwidth. I'm just not a regular guy on a cable connection, although at home I have cable, but we have bandwidth, so I'm churning the economy relative to bandwidth. We have different hosting companies that we use as well, different equipment that we buy. So as a home-based business, of course the government wants to give me everything I possibly can, because as I churn through building a business, I'm actually creating my own economy and helping them out as well. So, the mailman gets more money, the electricity guy gets more money, the water guy gets more money, the people that are working with us get more money, people that are using the phones are getting more money. We're churning the business. So that's why they give me the advantage to grow, Peter, grow like crazy. And that's without being super creative either. Now, the big guys, like the big companies like Apple and some of the other ones that have been kind of blasted, you'll hear about how they've learned the tax rules because they go through, like they decided that they're going to put their home office in Ireland so they don't have to double dip paying the taxes. And I'm sure if you were a company and you had stockholders that were responsible for profitability, you'd probably do some of those things too. So although the big guys, like the major multi-bazillion-dollar companies, test, if you will, the tax laws, and of course they don't do anything illegal, they test the tax laws, so they have guys that they pay huge amounts of money for to teach them how to do these types of things. You don't have to play any of those games. These are legitimate tax deductions right there available. And make sure you go to networkleads.com/taxes to be able to listen to our audios as well as hear Bob Adams talk about this, as well as be able to download that really cool software that's free called What Counts. And, of course, you can share it with all your friends. networkleads.com/taxes. Okay, this is Peter Mingils. I'm going to be signing off. Hopefully you'll give us your business and pay attention to some of the other radio shows that we have on Building Fortunes Radio, and we're going to catch you next time. Thanks for being here, and bye for now.
You've been listening to Building Fortunes Radio on buildingfortunesradio.com. Thanks for listening. Be sure to check us out every Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for the designated Building Fortunes Radio segment with Peter Mingils. Be sure to check out the buildingfortunesradio.com website for our featured segments. It's been our privilege to have you listen in. At Building Fortunes Radio, we wish you the success you deserve and are willing to work for. So spread the word, tell a friend, join our newsletter, and go make a difference in your world.